I've been watching record labels do what they do. It's kind of my job, just to kind of keep an eye on what's going on and share it with all of you. And I've noticed 5 unique things that record labels are doing recently. And I think a lot of record labels are going to be doing in the new year. Number 1 is being more transparent. What do I mean by that? A couple of ways I'm seeing record labels be more transparent. They're being transparent with each other labels. They're being transparent with their artists. Most importantly, with the public, with their fans. Transparent with their own personal mental health issues by saying, hey, I'm going to take the summer off, or I'm going to take the month of December off, or your records are going to be shipped late. That's okay. It's okay to be transparent. It's not something we're used to from businesses, but record labels are now just opting to be transparent. They're being transparent with their financial needs. When they get screwed by another company, they ask their fans for help. When the cost of gas goes up and the cost of vinyl pressing and the cost of everything goes up, record labels want to say, hey, listen, it's not me. Ultimately, record labels are just being transparent with the whole process. And I think it's something we're going to see a lot more next year. They're just going to say, this is what the reality. This is how many records we sell. This is how much we have to pay so-and-so. This is how much our website costs. This is how much shipping costs. And I think that's good, not just with costs, transparent in their relationships with their artists, and they're transparent with their customers. I think it's great. The second thing I love to see is record labels ditching the norm, like just ditching the norm, which is the best thing that any indie record label can do. One of the things we saw a couple years ago people stopped doing was premieres. Now, they're actually kind of bringing them back a little bit, but premiering a single or a track on a blog or whatever, that was kind of stressful because you had to pick the song and you had to pick the blog, and you had to wait for the blog to say yes. And you also what if one little blog said yes, and then a couple days later, a bigger blog said yes, and you've already committed to the little blog and now you know what I mean? The point is that record labels are just ditching the format, the template that was prepared for them by who knows who. We're kind of trapped into these long lead times because of manufacturing delays and because of all sorts of delays. And now indie record labels are just saying, no, we're going to do it our own way. That means that we're going to finish a record today and release it tomorrow. Or we're going to release just a couple songs today. Or we're going to release the digital today, and then in 6 months, we're going to do vinyl. Really, you can do whatever you want. I'm even seeing artists and record labels and managers ditching touring altogether because of the costs of travel and health concerns. They're just saying, listen, it's draining, extremely costly for an artist to tour. And so you know what we're going to do? We're going to stay at home and make music. We're going to build a home studio. We're going to use that money that we would spend on the road to connect with you on streaming and on social media and making music. And I'm just noticing artists and record labels are kind of abandoning the normal. Number 3, and this is kind of cool, is they're actually co-releasing with other record labels. I've seen people do this a lot. Okay, for example, let's say you are an American label and you team up with a label in Europe. You're going to handle all of the American press and you're going to handle sales and shipping and distribution for America. But then you've teamed up with a label in France, let's say, who's going to handle all of France sales and most of Europe sales in the UK. And that's super handy. Maybe they know that territory better. Maybe they can even help the artist set up tours or get better press or do translations for them. And there's this great advantage of the label in the US manufacturing the tapes or the CDs or the vinyl, and then shipping a box of 100 or 200, or actually just using a plant and manufacturing them and not having to do any overseas shipping. That's kind of cool. Record labels who are co-releasing are actually often tag teaming different categories or different specializations. For example, if one label is really good at streaming services and playlisting, they might handle all of the digital sales of a release, while another label might have a good distribution outlet for tapes or for vinyl to indie record stores. And so maybe they handle the physical. So you can actually split up the responsibilities. Oh, and there's something great about having another label to emotionally support you when the record fails or doesn't strike a chord with the audience, or if the press doesn't like it. It's kind of nice to not be the only one who believes in this album. Number 4 is donating to charity. We're seeing this a ton this year. We saw this with the war in Ukraine with people doing fundraisers. We saw this with abortion rights with people doing fundraisers. One of the coolest things is fundraising compilations where a record label will put together songs from artists on their label or artists on other label and come together and sell a digital release or a physical release and take all of that money and donate it to a special charity or a special cause. That's something we saw a lot this year, and I think we'll see it a lot more next year. They also do things like single day or single item donations to charity and causes. So let's say you take one test pressing and you try to auction it off for as much as you can and give all that money to charity. Or you take all of the streaming revenue from one day or all of the Bandcamp sales from one day. And some labels are even becoming a charity themselves. They're saying, listen, we are essentially supporting these artists to do their career, and we're actually acting as if we're a charity anyway. We're not taking any profit. We're not taking any money for ourselves. So why don't we officially become a charity? And I've seen that 2 or 3 times with record labels in our community, and I think more and more labels will opt to go that route. Number 5, labels are experimenting and then moving on. They're experimenting with irregular release schedules, and they're releasing things on New Year's Day, or a band is releasing 3 albums in one day. And guess what? Some of those experiments fail. Some of them don't work. And so a record label will just do it and then move on and not moan about it. They'll just try something new another day. They're looking at unique formats and unique genres, releasing music that may never have had its own day in the sun, like experimental music or a combination of multiple genres. And one thing that's really exciting is that record labels are experimenting with outside the box in-person events, doing things like going to fairs or festivals or setting up booths at local events as a way to introduce their record label to the local community. So many of us host our businesses strictly online, just through Instagram and Twitter and Bandcamp, but stepping out into real life and meeting people and setting up a booth. The funny thing is you might actually sell more merch in real life because people see you, they touch the shirts, or they see the records and they go, yeah, that's kind of cool. The point is that some of these won't work, and that's okay. It's most important that you actually just move on and be like, okay, that was fun. It worked great. Let's do it again. Or it worked great. Let's not do it again. Let's come up with something even better. My whole point of this episode is, as we move into a new year, that you look for ways that you can evolve as an individual, as a business owner, as an artist, as a creative. These are the 5 things that I think record labels are going to be doing in the coming future. Being more transparent, ditching the norm and writing their own rules, co-releasing with other record labels. Number 4, donating to charity or becoming a charity. And number 5, experimenting and then moving on. I hope you found this helpful. If you want to start your own record label, you can download all of my free resources for record labels by going to otherrecordlabels.com, specifically our toolkit for independent record labels by going to otherrecordlabels.com/toolkit. It's a free download. It's got tons of fun, helpful stuff for you in it. Thanks for watching.